Disappointed by all of the pivot points indicators I've seen on the internet, I decided to program my own indicator with all of the functions that I needed. Features pivot points Fibonacci retracements of the previous day's range open, high, low, and close of the previous day plots one period in the future for making tomorrow's trade plan price labels for all levels works on all time frames works with multiple instances on at the same time. Please give suggestions for any features you might want and or problems with the indicator. If you are a programmer, you must post the indicator back to this thread if you make any changes, as I would like them to benefit everyone. A pivot point trading strategy is a trader's best friend when it comes to identifying levels to develop a bias, place stops and identify potential profit targets for a trade. Pivot points are used by traders on stock and commodity exchanges. They are calculated based on the highs, lows and close prices of previous trading sessions and are used to predict support and resistance levels in the current or upcoming session. Support and resistance levels can be used by traders to determine entry and exit points for both stop losses and profit taking. Key takeaways: the pivot point is an average of the high, low and closing prices from the previous trading day. The success of the pivot point system depends on the trader and his ability to effectively use it in conjunction with other forms of technical analysis. Traders calculate pivot points to set the levels of stops, entry and profit taking. Pivot points trading strategy: as we mentioned earlier, pivot point strategy could very well be traders' best friend when identifying levels to develop a bias, place stops and identify potential profit targets for a trade. Before we start, if you are new to trading, it is best to start with the basics. What is Forex trading and quant? Pivot points can be used in trading to help assess upward and downward trends and determine the best points to enter or exit a trade. Traders can use the pivot point indicator for a wide variety of financial markets such as indices, stocks, and generally Forex trading. Here are a few pivot points trading strategies that can be used. Pivot points trend trading strategy. Traders can use pivot points for trend trading, using them when calculating support and resistance. The idea is that after the price has chosen the direction based on the pivot point, the trader can take advantage of corrections at significant levels. If price convincingly breaks through the first support or resistance level and then pulls back, the trader can buy or sell on the bounce off that resistance level. Pivot points are essential support and resistance zones derived from the previous day's high, low and close value. By incorporating these values in a series of simple calculations, you can determine the current day's central pivot point, which acts as a major support/resistance line, and then estimate three other support and resistance levels which are positioned above and below the central one. We have already spoken about the pivot point's general specifications in our article Pivot Points, so here we will skip some of the basics. Support and resistance levels in Forex are the fundamental levels all technical traders must understand. As important as these levels are, many technical traders, especially newbies, find it difficult to place. The problem of placing key support and resistance levels accurately are achieved using the daily pivot points indicator. The foundation: the daily pivot points indicator for MT4 shows levels where price reversal can take place. The daily pivot points indicator contains 13 horizontal levels on the chart. These levels are shown in the chart below. These levels shown in the diagram above are potential support and resistance levels where price movement can change. From the diagram above, the R1, R2, and R3 are the first, second, and the third resistance levels respectively. The S1, S2, and S3 are the first, second, and third support levels respectively. The PP, yellow horizontal line, is the pivot point line, and it is seen between the resistance and the support zones. The daily pivot points indicator also plot midpoints or intermediate levels between the pivot point and support and resistance zones. Calculation of the daily pivot points indicator are done using the previous trade session's open, low, high and close. The pivot point, PP, equals, close plus high plus low/3. Other support and resistance levels are calculated from the pivot point. First resistance, R1, equals, 2x PP, low. Second resistance, R2, equals PP plus, high, low. Third resistance, R3,